Welcome to the BXG podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as turkey and gravy. I am one of your hosts, Brenton Bestwick, alongside one of my co-hosts. The turkeys may be pardoned, but he never will be. Greg Filson.
Ooh, man. I'm happy. This is one of my favorite times of the year. It might actually be my favorite day of the year because of Thanksgiving coming up. I know the show comes out on Friday, so I'll be stuffed to the brim Friday morning. I'm excited to have the prep ready. Rocket and roll. Let's do this.
Let's do this. A little bit of housekeeping. As usual, BXG Podcast publishes every Friday at 7 a.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcast.
I love Google Podcast.
I was Canadian for a second. And other podcast services worldwide. Official BXG social media accounts on Facebook, facebook.com/BXG Podcast for updates and news. Instagram at BXG Podcast, Twitter at BXG Podcast, YouTube.com/BXG Podcast. The YouTube stuff's being added slowly but surely. We've got all the episodes are on there. I have most of the pizza reviews just to be edited and put on there, so those will be on there. Episode 8, which featured our interview with author and podcast host JC Alfalto, is available. We thought it was a great conversation, and even though it's been a couple weeks, we're going to continue to promote that. This past Tuesday, we released part 1, the BXG episode, Top 10 TV Shows. It ran a lot longer than we thought it would. When we did our Top 10 music albums, it ran about 57 minutes, and this one was almost 2 hours long. And we want to respect people's times, and we're not going to put really, when you go back to the episode 8, episode 9, those were all very long. So we weren't going to put out 3 hour and 45 minute pods in a row. So we decided to cut it up. So the first one, which is our honorable mentions through our number 6 shows, is available. It came out on Tuesday, and then part 2 will be out on Tuesday, December 1st. So we chop that up. And then we were discussing beforehand, our next BXG is going to be, we're going to rank Star Wars. We know that we'll have a lot to say, especially about some of the movies. So we're trying to work that out. We're going to probably chop that into 3 parts when we do that.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. I think Star Wars fans will appreciate that just because the way the movies are broken up. Of course, we're doing 11 movies.
Yeah.
Just so
we're going to do Solo and
Solo
and Rogue One. Yep.
But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think even for people who are just the lay person when it comes to Star Wars will enjoy it because I think we're both going to have a lot of fun with the movies that we probably dislike more than the movies we like.
Yeah, we were talking, and this was kind of, we went 2 hours on the TV shows because we were adding a lot of context and texture and things like that to each of our selections. So it wasn't just like, here's number 1, I like it because it's good. Here's number 2, I like it because it's funny. So we try to add some things in with that, but we went 2 hours for that. I watched Phantom Menace the other night. I took 4 pages of notes. So there's going to be a lot to say about these movies, and they're a big part of our lives, and going back to our childhood. So there's definitely going to be a lot to say.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited for it. Actually, I started Attack of the Clones last night. I started it late, so I only got maybe a third of the way through. I'll probably finish it tomorrow. We have a couple corrections. The Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight is actually, I said it was in December. It's going to be November 28th. And I believe it's 4 rounds, and they're going to be 2-minute rounds. So it's almost like, what's the point?
It's just for a cash grab.
Yeah, well, and it's for charity, too. So.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, it's a good cash grab.
Right.
It'll be fun.
The other correction was that you, sir, referenced during our conversation that you wanted to get back. You wanted to get back into the games, and you said you wanted to start hitting the links again.
Yeah.
So unless you were very specifically talking about playing a PGA Tour game and / Everybody's Golf, I think you probably meant hitting the sticks.
No, I just like calling it hitting the links when you're playing a golf game on the PlayStation. Because you're just,
right.
Yeah.
We have some listener inquiries. We have 3 questions from from one source. So, hi, this is from Jenny P. Hi, Brenton and Greg. I just caught up on all the episodes of your podcast. Well done so far. I've definitely learned a lot about games and enjoy listening to your discussion. So I have two questions for both of you. What book or comic book, so we'll take these one at a time. What book or comic book do you think should be made into a movie that hasn't already been made into a movie?
That's a good question. I maybe am copying out a little bit on this because it was a movie, but it was a movie a billion years ago. And I don't know if people even know it exists. I only know it exists because it's my favorite book. But I would like to see like a modern adaptation of like The Sun Also Rises, just because I love that book. And I could imagine that like Timothée Chalamet could play like a young person in that movie. You would just take all my favorite actors and put that in that movie, and I think that would actually hold up pretty well. That would be my thing on that. And comic book I thought about really hard, and honestly like all my favorite comic books are pretty much covered. Unless there's just like a Batgirl movie, because I did like some Batgirl comics growing up. I haven't really read it in a while, but maybe a Batgirl movie. I know that's a show, but I wouldn't mind a Batgirl movie if they did it right.
Batwoman is the show.
Batwoman's the show, yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't mind that as a movie if they did it well, which I don't trust DC sometimes. But
okay, so for me, a book that hasn't been made into a movie. Most of the books that I've read have been made into movies, if I'm being totally honest. At least ones that I can think of, or they've been made into TV shows. Yeah, I don't. Free Willy, no. My bookshelf is literally right behind me. Okay, I'll go with this one just because it's right behind me. And there's a Michael Crichton pirate book. It was published after he had passed away. Michael Crichton is, of course, Jurassic Park, ER, as you mentioned last week or during the TV episode. Jurassic Park, The Congo, some other things. So he wrote a pirate book called Pirate Latitudes, and I read that. I got it for Christmas one year. I think I read it in like 2 days because I like Michael Crichton. His writing style, it's very action-packed. It doesn't beat you over the head with its fluent language or whatever. It's just an easy read, and I like pirates. So
I was gonna say you love pirates.
Yeah, not the Pittsburgh Pirates so much.
No.
No, but and then like you said, the tough thing about the comic book thing is that mostly everything's been made. So I think the two, and this is kind of a cop out too. I think at this point you kind of look for specific stories that haven't been made. A specific run that hasn't been made, a specific graphic that hasn't been made. Or you go in the direction of, the first version sucked, so let's try to do it right this time. So I guess I have two, and the first one's going to be Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer is one of my... Yeah, Silver Surfer is one of my favorite Marvel heroes. I assume he's probably going to pop up here in the MCU at some point as they get further into space and things like that. He was in the first version of the Fantastic Four, where Chris Evans played the Human Torch. In the second one, we saw that in theaters. You and I did actually together, yeah. And it was not very good. So I'd love to see them do Silver Surfer right. The other one is I'd love to see them make a Batman movie based on the Hush series.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
For those who don't know, it's almost less of a superhero beat 'em up and more of a detective type thing because
it's a noir.
Yeah, it's detective noir, and that's the thing that I think that with Batman that the comic books and the games do right, and the movies don't really do so well. Even the Nolan ones, and that Batman is one of his monikers is the world's greatest detective, and I would love to see. Almost like they did Spider-Man Noir and Into the Spider-Verse. I would love to see like a detective noir style Batman movie. I think it would be awesome.
I do too.
And I think that would be the perfect storyline to do it to.
You have a Batman in mind? Like the person that plays
Nicolas Cage. No, I don't know. I feel like an older. You know who would have been good would have been George Clooney. Because he looked the part, but he was in one of those crappy Schumacher Batmans.
Yeah.
I think he would, because he's got that sort of, he's older and that sort of thing. So that's the type of, I think it would have to be like a late in his career type Batman.
I was thinking Tom Hardy, even though he's not late in his career. But I think Tom Hardy, even though he was Bane, I know, Bane, but it's just one of those. Yeah, I think he'd be kind of a good role for that. But
that name crossed my mind as well. I don't know. I just think that'd be a good fresh take. Because how many times can we do? How many times can we do the origin story, and how many times can we do? Batman beats people. Okay, he's angry all the time. We get it. Let's try something different. The Nolan Batman movies are phenomenal, and I don't dislike Ben Affleck's Batman. The only ones that I don't really care for are the two Schumacher movies, and I think those are universally pretty disliked. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see what they come up with Robert Pattinson. I don't think it's going to be in that direction. And, like I said at some point when we talked about the trailer that dropped, it gives me Watchmen vibes, which is fine. I mean, that's dark and different, but that's what I want to see. I want to see that sort of the world's greatest detective thing.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but it would almost be like a James Bond meets Batman.
Sure.
Thing. Yeah. Which sounds right up my alley.
Right. I mean, I know. Like they go into like the different, the tech that he uses. The best example that I can think of that keeps popping up into my head is when he reconstructs the bullet or the fingerprint on the bullet from the Joker. In the Dark Knight, but that's very like techie. I want to see him like with a magnifying glass and like following the clues. You know what I mean? Dusting for prints, that sort of thing. But I mean, maybe that's a little bit too old timey, but something like that. So her number 2 question is: you frequently talk about the MCU. If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
Like Spider-Man's strength, where I still look pretty much like I look, but I'm very strong. I think the reason why is because like all the other ones are sort of fantastical. I never want to do any of this stuff with brains where you can read people. You don't want to read people's brains. I feel like you are going to go into like a whole world of crap going there. Moving stuff around with your brain is kind of fun, but I just like the idea of like me looking like me, because Spider-Man's not like Jack. He gets a little bit more beefy. Right. But I think it would just be fun if like someone's like, oh, can anybody lift this thing, and I just walk over there and I just lift like a 100-pound bag like it's a 5-pound bag of flour. Right. I think that would be just for the most fun kind of thing.
I would go with Ultron's ability to infiltrate the internet, because it's the only way I'd get a PlayStation 5. Oh, number 3, why do you think some of these? This is for Greg specifically, the pop culture guy. Why do you think some of these reality TV shows, specifically Dancing with the Stars, American Idol, Bachelor, Bachelorette, continue to hang on for so long? They've all been on for like 20 or more seasons. It just seemed to get worse and worse. Before you answer that, I just want to throw out there Survivor, my favorite reality TV show. Just celebrated, and my other favorite reality TV show, The Challenge. Survivor just celebrated its 40th season, and The Challenge will be starting its 36th season here in about 2 weeks.
Both more seasons than years that you've been alive? You're 30, are you 36?
I'm 36.
I couldn't remember. Okay, yeah.
I'm 36.
So that's insane.
Well, they do 2
Yeah, they do 2 a year, right. But that's so incredible that there's that many seasons. The one I mostly go back to is The Challenge for me. The other ones I've hit and miss with like The Bachelor and Bachelorette. I'll go, like if somebody mentions something silly and then I get into it. I think the biggest reason, and it was so weird, I thought probably way too hard about this, and then I just kind of came to this super simple conclusion. People just like to go back to something that they know what they're getting. Especially like this year is a perfect example of like, you know what, I just need something that nothing's going to change. My expectations are what they have always been for this many seasons. I'm going to have Jeff Probst, just being Jeff Probst and doing his thing on the. Right. And I think that's actually the biggest thing is people, for the most part, people are like they like their normal habits, and they coming back to these shows, and whether they've gotten. I mean, The Challenge to me, every time I watch it, I'm always like, this is good, and
The thing about The Challenge is I feel like it's evolved over time, because it was very much we're going to put these people in this house. They're all going to get hammered. They're going to get into fights. They're going to have hookups. They're going to have all that. You very rarely see that anymore.
Right.
They're all working out. I mean, there's still a good flare up every now and again. Once or twice a season.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure. It has. When you're on steroids, that's just
right.
Gonna happen.
Or last season when Nani threw the bowl of macaroni and cheese at Anissa, classic. But
I just love hearing those names.
yeah, right. Well, here's how long the challenge has been on, right? Is CT's the voice of reason now?
It's incredible.
Think about
Let me
that.
pepper your sauce. Let me pepper your sauce.
CT's like the voice of reason. He was
insane
He was
to
out
me.
of control, out of his mind.
I know. You thought he was going to go to jail multiple times.
Like every season.
Watching that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, he's going to jail.
Yeah.
And now he's the voice of reason.
Now he's the voice
That
of
is a
reason.
great
That's
point.
how long the challenge has been on. But some of these other shows, I think a lot of it is like what you said. You know what you're going to get, especially when it comes to the hosts, like Jeff Probst. Prior to this year, Tom Bergeron with Dancing with the Stars. What's his name? The little guy, the busiest guy. I can see his face. Seacrest.
Oh, Ryan Seacrest.
With American Idol.
My guy.
The judges. I think a lot of people watched American Idol for the put downs because of Simon. This is absolutely awful, and the things that he would say. But a lot of times I think people watch it more for the hosts than the actual contestants.
I think a lot of it, with American Idol specifically, or all those talent shows.
Yeah.
I think you also, and I actually don't really watch the talent shows anymore. I'm kind of off of it, but
Right.
A lot of it was watching it to see people be bad.
Yeah, sure.
Which is not a good thing.
Right.
Not a good thing as a human, but
Right.
that's what we do, and I think that's part of it too. I also think too is like, there's a lot of shows out there that people like, but then it only lasts the season,
Sure.
and they're upset. And so this is a show is going to just come back, and you don't have to worry about it going away or anything like that. I think that's another thing too for people.
Yeah, sure. So I think that answers those questions. If you have questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, ideas, please contact us at bxg.com, at gmail.com. Not at bxg.com. That's not a thing. BXG Podcast.
Not yet.
Yeah, BXG Podcast at gmail.com or on the Facebook page. We love answering questions. We'd love to hear more from everybody. Here's the thing. I'm going to challenge you. Not you. I want to challenge these blokes. And you know who I'm talking about. Governor. These people, I know who you are from the United Kingdom because you're downloading every week. And I want to know, I want to hear from you. I don't care what it is. I just want to hear from you. Right in.
I want to do a
Just
UK
say,
only episode.
Just say
where it's UK mailbag.
We just want to say, yeah, fish, chips, cup of tea, Mary Poppins, all that stuff. We want to hear from you, Governor. But on that, we've got a great show tonight. The Harajuku girls are here.
Wasn't ready for that.
We've got our 6-pack of topics, clip of the week, quick hitters on this Thanksgiving.
How do we get them?
Tom Hiddleston.
Okay.
Number 1, Mandalorian in Review, Chapter 12, The Siege, sees the titular character rendezvous on Navarro for ship repairs with Grief and the newly minted Marshal, Cara Dune. He is naturally talked into a side mission in which he, as well as Grief, played by Carl Weathers, who is also in the director's chair for this episode, and Dune, played by Gina Carano, as well as Mithril, a familiar face played by Horatio Sand. Mithril was the first bounty Mando brought in all the way back in Chapter 1. The episode featured the foursome sneaking into a leftover Imperial base and learning the child had blood taken and infused with regular troopers in a likely attempt to make Force-sensitive super stormtroopers. During a daring escape, Dune pilots a battery ram-like transport through a canyon while being fired on by TIE fighters, which is very reminiscent to the Death Star run Luke makes in A New Hope, with Mando playing the Han Solo role and flying in with the Razor Crest swooping down for the LeBron-style chase-down block. With his ship finally repaired, he is off to Trask? I don't know. Whatever. They keep teasing it. Either way, he's off to Trask to find Ahsoka Tano, Anakin Skywalker's former Padawan.
I always take notes during the show. My main note was I had a lot of fun during this episode, and I tossed my cookies, just like
Oh.
I didn't actually toss my cookies, but I did love that. I love him getting the cookies with like a cute little nod.
he's just a brat this season.
Yeah, he is, which is fun. Like, what I love about and I will say this to me was the second best episode of the season for me.
Yeah, me too. But I'm going to be honest with you, the bar hasn't been set that high by episodes.
No, it's been definitely which but it gives me hope. It gives me a new hope. Going further. For what's to come, because I think those two and three were maybe setup episodes.
Yeah, sure.
And this one's kind of gearing us. Yeah, exactly. They were setup episodes, and this is now gearing us towards the end and what we're kind of getting into, which I'm fine with now. Like if the episodes evolve like this one did going forward, then I'm just gonna look at 2 and 3 and be like, they weren't great, but they got us through here. Because I really enjoyed myself. It was quick. It was a quick episode. Again, it felt like to me.
I don't remember the runtime exactly.
But it was one of those episodes like 2 and 3 were quick, and I was kind of over it with both of them at the time when they were over. I was like, boy, we didn't really do anything. This one, I was like, this could have been longer. I definitely thought that I would have had just more fun. I have come to terms that Mando is just going to have to do pit stops and help people out. And that's just where we're
ship
at.
is constantly wrecked. This poor guy.
I think he's driving a Pontiac.
I
think that's what's wrong with it. As someone who's a former owner of a brand new Pontiac.
Let me actually tell you that I think he's driving a Chevy Cavalier, and let me tell you why. Because he's able to get parts for this thing on every planet. You know what I mean?
That's true.
He's able to get parts.
You can't get parts everywhere. It's old GM. So but man, it's hilarious to me. It's just like, I know this is where you have to have a show. It's on a movie, so of course he needs little plot things. And but this one to me was like fast paced, but not like too fast paced. There was a little bit of there was fun. There were serious moments. The ending was really cool. I really thought the ending like got me excited for the next episode, and which I really couldn't say about like 2 and 3 necessarily. Like I'm excited because I'm just excited for these shows. Right. But this one set me up to be like, ooh, here we go. Right. I like this.
It was, I have my high points and low points with every episode so far. The low point for me was I think Horatio Sands was like too much. Like we got a little bit too much of him and being goofy, and Carl Weathers and Gina Carano just bullying him around. He just seemed like I don't know that he was necessary. I think that they could have completely cut that character out and it would have changed things even a little bit. The action was good. The chase scene was cool. It was probably the best action we've seen. I mean, not even probably. It was the best action we've seen since the first episode of this season. I think seeing familiar faces really helped. I think this episode is maybe like an 8.5 out of 10 for me. But if it's not familiar faces, maybe it's only a 7. I think that the Carl Weather character's grief and Cara Dune, she made about. Did you see all the hubbub about her, Gina Carano? Yeah. She tweeted some crazy stuff, and now people want her fired. Because weird. You can't have an opinion these days on anything. But seeing them was probably helpful. Seeing some familiar faces was maybe a little bit comforting. I'm very excited for the next episode. I read online that it's going to be the longest of the entire series. I think it comes in around 55 minutes. So it's going to be real girthy. I think there's going to be a lot going on. I think there's going to be a lot to see. I'm still interested to see, they brought all these characters. They tied everything together at the end of season 1 with all of these extra characters. And I'm interested to see now. I feel like we're at a point where we can't have any more filler episodes like 2 and 3 were. I just don't think that it would be a real setback, I think, if we got any more episodes that were basically pointless. To me, episode 2 was basically pointless. I didn't care for it, but not to beat a dead horse on that. But like I said, this poor guy, I saw one of those memes where it was like the 2 books side by side, and the one's 5 inches thick and the other one's 3 centimeters thick, and it says The Mandalorian, and that's the 5 inches thick one, and then the other one's The Mandalorian if his ship worked, and it's only 4 pages long, because this guy's got horrible luck with his ship's always in just just wrecked and in complete disarray. But yeah, I mean, I think we're getting more of Moff Gideon. We didn't talk about that in the wrap up, but he's clearly doing some nefarious stuff with Baby Yoda's blood to try to either make himself force sensitive or build these super troopers. It's all going to be interesting. It's all going to come to head. But I want it to come to a head instead of in episode 8 in just the next 4 episodes, just nonstop. Nonstop. That's what I want. I know it's probably not going to be like that, but that's what I want it to be.
The thing I'm most excited is that this episode definitely made me feel like we're trending upward.
Yeah, yes.
Because of that ending was, like I said, it made me excited. I thought the show itself trended upwards.
Yeah.
Like, it started out fine and funny, but then it actually became action-y. Things were important. It got more and more important and that was the first episode. That was the first episode, including the first episode where that was happening. The first episode was just a plateau of greatness.
Yeah, sure.
It didn't have a peak. It was just like, I'm awesome the entire time. Get ready.
Right.
This one, the other ones were just up and down, up and down, up and down. This one was just trending funny and then serious, still kind of funny, because the show's always going to be a little funny no matter what. And then this is going to be awesome.
So let's talk about the humor a little bit. I'm on the record on this show as saying that I hate the humor of the new Star Wars movies because it's just beats you over the head with it. The opening scene where he's trying to tell the child which wire goes where is incredible. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, I'm the parent of a 5 and a 3-year-old, and that's what it is. It's trying to explain which wire goes where, and them not being able to understand it and almost electrocuting themselves. That's just what it is. That scene was so funny to me. It really reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when Baby Groot had the detonator and wasn't sure which button to push and all that stuff. Just not as drawn out, obviously. That was great. The child in the classroom stealing the kids' cookies, which you are able to buy those cookies online somewhere. So in case you wanted some of those blue
macarons.
Yeah, those things. They're on. I saw that on Nerdist. You can look it up. So those are available. But yeah, I mean, the humor with the child was great. The humor with Horatio Sands' character Mithril was a little bit too much for me. He had a couple funny quips about not wanting to go back into carbonite and he can't see out of his left eye or whatever. And then it just got to be too much. I think that the episode would have been perfectly fine just leaving him back at the fort. But yeah, I mean, the humor was good. Go ahead.
I'm sure it was just one of those things where he's probably like a massive Star Wars fan, and they're like, "All right, we'll put you in this episode." And
Daniel Craig's a massive Star Wars fan. He was an unnamed, unidentified stormtrooper.
I know. That was like what actually I was thinking about in the moment because I thought the same thing. Like I liked it initially,
right? And
then I was like, "Oh, this is still happening."
Yeah.
When actual important things are going on, and then he's still kind of just being there. It would be fun if Daniel Craig was like an important character on one of these shows, or he's just an English spy. That would be cool.
Number 2, AMA winners. Sunday, the 22nd, the American Music Awards were handed out with host Taraji P. Henson at the Microsoft Theater in LA. Plenty of musical acts, in-person presenters, and a small crowd on hand. Excuse me. Some of the winners were Artist of the Year Taylor Swift, new artist Doja Cat, male artist Shane Bieber, who's just cleaning up the awards.
He really is. Good for him.
He's just mowing these awards down like they're Detroit Tigers. Female artist Taylor Swift, favorite album Harry Styles, favorite song Dua Lipa. Grammy nods. Yeah, the Grammy nods are out. Beyonce has 9 nominations, Song and Record of the Year. I'll be honest with you, I looked through the Grammys, and I just thought, man, we could include it, but we've got so much other award stuff in here.
Yeah.
And they're so far away, we can talk about them.
I just wanted to make sure that, I wanted to make sure people knew that we were aware because it literally came out before we recorded.
Yeah.
What I'll say about the American Music Awards is I watched a little bit of it. I stopped after I saw Dan and Shay perform because that is some hot garbage. And I did not enjoy that.
They did a collaboration, right? Weren't they with somebody?
No, at least when I saw them, they were by themselves. I did see Shawn Mendes perform. He did 2 performances. I saw the second one. I like Shawn Mendes, as I've said. That was good. Yeah, that award show's all over the place for me. obviously with Taylor Swift and Harry Styles winning, I was stoked. That always makes me happy. But man, there's just and Bieber. I'm like okay with Bieber. I think I've listened to like a song from his album, but it was weird. Was it weird seeing people in the crowd? I'm weirded out now when I see like a football game with people in the crowds right now because I'm like things are still not good yet, and so that kind of freaked. I understand that it was actually probably perfectly safe, but it was just weird to me initially, especially since it was in LA. And you're like, okay, this is a little weird. I thought she was a good host, considering you literally are talking to like 15 people in the crowd, and she like had good energy. I really like that. Kudos to her for being able to do that. And Trevor Noah is going to host the Grammys, and I like Trevor Noah. If you haven't read Born to Crime, it's a really good book, and obviously a Daily Show. But I think that's going to be the weird. That was the thing I thought about the most about this is hosting something like this has to be just crazy weird because even as a kid, if you're an actor, you're performing in front of like people,
right?
Whether it's just your parents or something. But when you're just like you got to bring that energy from somewhere,
right? Yeah.
Where does that come from? That's actually being talented. And I thought she was the most talented person there because it's like you're actually doing something. Like people, when you perform music, you do that in a studio, with maybe one other person kind of listening. So you're still performing music. You don't host a show in front of your mirror. I mean, right. Ryan Seacrest probably did, but not most people do not do that. And for her to go up there, I thought that was really pretty. I thought that was really cool. The show itself, like I've always said with the music stuff, I'm with some of the new stuff. Like I love Dua Lipa. I think that album is just an absolute banger. Obviously, I love Harry Styles and I love Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's one of those things where she's with current, but I mean, if you're our age, Taylor Swift was still very important when she first came out. I mean, we listened to a couple of her songs today from her first album just because I was like, I need to listen to these songs. These helped me on my Friday nights coming home from covering football because I needed an energy booster. It's cool to see people like Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift who have been relevant this long, and you really can't say a bad thing about them. If you do, you're definitely on like a weird side of things where you're just a hater. The new stuff, I have the very new stuff. I have issues with. I'm not ever going to say I'm a music expert, but I don't think it's good. I just don't. Maybe I can understand why people like it, but I don't think it's good. It's not going to be relevant 20 years from now.
Okay, so I have 3 overall thoughts on this entire thing. First, I'm going to go with the crowds. When I was watching baseball games, I didn't think it was weird. Because unless you're, the Red Sox or the late 90s Indians, you're not selling out every game. Usually the stadiums are only half empty or only half full anyway. So it wasn't weird. It's been weird with football. It's been weird seeing the empty seats when they pan across the stadium or whatever. And, a lot of obviously I'm a Panthers fan, which, by the way, keep pounded, keep pounded.
I'm sure by the time this comes out, the Lions would have lost to the Texans on Thursday too. And I love all my football seasons are just over.
Last week you were celebrating the Lions winning a game on Thanksgiving, forgetting that you looked past the upstart Carolina.
Well, no.
You said the Lions were going to be 5-5. 5-5, baby. Keep.
I wasn't looking at. It was one of those things where it was just like I think I probably just got me. I forgot they played. Because I was looking ahead to that. Because we were talking about the Thanksgiving game. And so when I went to their schedule, I typed Thanksgiving game. And it happens. I knew they were playing Carolina, but I was just focused in on that.
When I saw that, I was like, I should text Greg and see if he wants to put like a friendly wager up. It's not that big.
I had no confidence in that game.
But since my team won, I'm definitely going to
you can. And I hate my team. It's incredible that both my football seasons are over, and I haven't got the Thanksgiving.
Mine are too.
Yeah, it's just
mine are over. My NBA season hasn't even started yet, and it's over.
That's true.
So, but getting back to what I was saying, I'm a big Panthers fan. I watch the Panthers games, and they have like the Carolina blue, electric blue seats. It's just so weird to see them empty. Or the Steelers games with the gold seats and everything. It's just really strange. So yeah, I mean, to see anybody in any crowds for anything, whether it be an award show or a sports game or a concert, or I know up here there's the drive-in down towards Butler on Route 8. They were doing stand-up comedy there where you would drive your car in.
Oh yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, so there's that. The crowds are weird. The second thing is actually jumping forward a little bit to the Grammys. When I saw that Justin Bieber, and this is the first time I'm actually going to refer to him by his real name and not Shane Bieber, because Shane Bieber would never do the atrocity that I'm about to describe. When Justin Bieber, Yummy, was nominated for Song of the Year, and I was flipping through, and I was like, okay, I'm going to check out, because this is, we talk about this stuff, so I need to familiarize myself. I see Song of the Year, Justin Bieber, Yummy. I'm like, oh, well, this is horse shit. And
do you need to bleep that?
Yeah, I'm going to, and that's fine. This is how I feel. It's like, and then I scrolled down further, just because I wanted to see. I was like, all right, let's take a peek at the best rock album. I didn't know any. I mean,
No.
Do you want to know who I knew? I knew Fiona Apple. And
We
last
knew
time she
Sturgill
was
Simpson,
relevant-
my guy. You knew Sturgill Simpson because of me.
Was he on there?
He's got best rock album.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good. You should actually, if you listen to anything by him, you'll love it, because he wanted to just make a I think he's quoted saying, "I just want to make a dirty, sleazy rock album," and that's what he did, and you'll love it. It's good.
Yeah, the only other act that I knew was Fiona Apple.
Yeah.
And the last time Fiona Apple was relevant, I was 12.
Right.
And I'm 36. So
I feel the same. I'm sure the album I'm sure the album is technically good. I don't give a crap. Be actually good. That's
sure.
I just want to add one thing before we leave this is Sturgill Simpson's been nominated for Best Country Album, which he won, Best Americana Album, and now Best Rock Album. I wonder how many people have done that. I didn't have enough time to do my research on that. But the only other person I could really think of is Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
And if that's happened, what a class. I mean, I keep telling everyone, you should listen to Sturgill Simpson. I know he didn't even make my top 10 albums. It will happen. If we do this, when the podcast is still going on 15 years from now, Sturgill Simpson will be in my top 10. When we're getting that La Croix money, scratch.
Mine will be exactly the same.
Yours will definitely be the same.
Completely unchanged.
It'll just be mine. It'll just be my episode.
Yours will fluctuate.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. Number 3, the 2020 Game Awards nominees were announced in the show, which is largely produced as a solo act by the immortal Jeff Keighley, will take place on December 10th. Not surprising, with 2 mega hits in The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, Sony cleaned up with a staggering 22 nominations, the next highest for any studio is 8. Game of the Year nominees include Ghost of Tsushima for Sucker Punch, Hades for Supermassive Games, Doom Eternal from id Software, The Last of Us Part 2 from Naughty Dog, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Square Enix, and Animal Crossing New Horizons from Nintendo. The Game Awards they're fine. I don't think that they're actually really... We've talked about how many different music award shows?
3.
Like 3?
3.
4? 3 or 4?
If you count the Grammys, it'll be 4, but when we get to that, yeah.
There's as many game award shows as there are music award shows. There's, the BAFTAs and the DICE Awards and all those different things. But the Game Awards is, kind of a big deal because they'll show a lot of new stuff. They'll do trailers, they'll do reveals and things like that. But it is kind of nice, and it's a big deal. They do a lot of different things. They do, best performance, best narrative, best music, best blah blah blah, different genres, things like that. The reality of it is, if you go back and look through a lot of the winners from the past, a lot of the times it really isn't the best game of the year that wins, so to me,
so it's like the Oscars.
I had yeah, kind of. To me, if I had to look at these games that are up for best or game of the year, I would pick The Last of Us. It's it's a beautiful game. It's a gripping narrative. It's a technically sound game, impressive, attention to detail, sound is amazing, environmental storytelling off the charts. But with that being said, I bet you whatever, currency you want to bet that either Hades or Animal Crossing wins. Animal Crossing was the highest selling game of the year. It sold like some just asinine amount of copies. It's like the attachment rate, which is what the attachment rate for any for the layperson is. So let's say that 10 people own a PlayStation and 2 of them own The Last of Us. So The Last of Us would have a 20% attachment rate. Okay, so the numbers aren't that high, but when it comes to Nintendo games, the numbers are just off the charts for the attachment rate, because they don't have a lot of the big games that the other systems do, and their big games are on only their systems. So the attachment rate for like Zelda Breath of the Wild is like 50% of the people that own Switches. Mario Odyssey is like 50%. Animal Crossings is like 60%. Spider-Man, which is one of the highest selling games for PlayStation 4, attach rate is like 18%. It's just, Jeez. There's more, and people buy different things and stuff like that. And if you're buying a Nintendo, you're getting those big tentpole games. But I would bet, I of the games listed, I certainly feel like The Last of Us, and they just did. There was another award show last night, the Golden Joysticks or something like that, and The Last of Us won 7 awards, including Game of the Year. So I think on a base level, The Last of Us is probably the favorite to win Game of the Year, but don't be surprised if either Hades or Animal Crossing New Horizon wins Game of the Year at this particular award show.
I don't know how long the award shows have been going on, but did A Link to the Past win when it came out? Because if it didn't, that would be a travesty.
No, it hasn't been. The Game Awards hasn't been.
Because that was my main thought. I was just like, I hope A Link to the Past won all the awards when it came out. Because that's still like, I know I said Mario Bros. Is my favorite. I think that's still the best video game I've ever played. And I'm not I'm not super up to date on games. So when I do, it's more casual. But that was my main thought on it. When you talk about like this, being not the best game winning, I hope that actually did win. Whatever the awards were then. I know that's different, but, whatever.
Well, that was like...
That was 20 years ago, 25 years
20
ago.
years ago.
25 years ago.
Long...
Right? 95, maybe, A Link to the Past?
Oh, man, I think it was longer than that.
Oh, I'm old.
These go back to 2014.
Oh, okay. And Final Fantasy VII, that had to be awesome.
Final Fantasy VII remake.
That's, one of the greatest games ever made. Probably the greatest game for a lot of people, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I
think Bob Sacamano's favorite video game is Final Fantasy VII.
It's one of them. He and I have actually been having that conversation lately, oddly enough. Here's the I'll give you the from 2014, the Game of the Year winners every year at the Game Awards. 14, Dragon Age Inquisition. 15, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. 16, Overwatch. 17, Breath of the Wild. 18, God of War. 19, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and this year is to be determined. Just looking at these,
at least Legend of Zelda's in there, though.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild won in 2017. Yeah. I don't think it was the best game that year. I think Horizon Zero Dawn was a better game, but I'm also a homer. 2016, Overwatch won. It beat out Doom, Inside, Titanfall 2, and Uncharted 4, Thief's End. I think, no, I'm not going to render an opinion there. 2015, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. That game was huge.
It's massive. I remember that game being huge.
So even though I think that Bloodborne and Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, are both technically better, I think that's just one of those sort of things. And then I did not like Dragon Age, so that's surprising to me that won. Game of the Year, but, that's just one man's opinion. But yeah, it'll be fun. Like I said, they do a lot of trailers. They do a lot of reveals. The original Last of Us was revealed at the Game Awards, or whatever the version of it at that time was. I don't remember what the hell it was called, but yeah, it'll be fun. Jeff Keighley, anybody who's ever written or talked or anything, he's a really nice guy. He's a really genuine guy. He's got a lot of pull in the industry, so I don't have a problem with anything that Jeff says. Now, I will say that even though he is the host, he has no active role in the votes. Those go out to media types and podcasters and influencers. So, Jeff, if you want to get me on your 2021 list,
there we go. Do it.
The email's in the show notes. Number 4, speaking of video games, new console shortages. As we've covered, the new PS5 and the Xbox Series X are about impossible to find unless you want to pay a scalper on Amazon $1,500. Jim Ryan, the CEO of PlayStation, has stated in an interview with Russian news agency TAS5, which is freaking weird that Jim Ryan's doing a
that was super
interview
weird.
with a Russian news agency. But he reported that every
Count the
PS5
votes.
that has been... He's reported that every PS5 that has been made has been sold to retailers, and that his primary focus is on producing more. Xboss Phil Spencer acknowledged that Microsoft is experiencing similar issues with all the Xbosses being produced in a 2-month period, having been gobbled up as well. He did say that his interview's on The Verge website, and there's another segment of it in the Quick Hitters. It's pretty lengthy. He had a lot to say. They had a shortage on the AMD stuff. They were behind on Sony. So however many Sony made, Xbox has made less, but they're all gone. COVID is not helping matters, as strictly online sales for some reelers has set up easy access for scalpers and bots, with one UK scalper group claiming to have an inventory of 3,500 PlayStation 5s.
This just makes me angry. All it does is make me angry. Like, I can't, like, what did you think was going to happen? Yeah, like, that's my thing. Like, Sony, Mike, what did you think was going to happen? Tons of people love your product, and you're like, oh, we're short. It's, like, not an excuse, and if you don't need hype. It's just like hyping a Marvel movie. You won't actually need the hype. Your people are going to support you no matter what. Oh, and then you say, like, a scalper has 3,500. You are the reason why, you being the Sony's and the royal you. The royal you. You're the reason why this happened, because you just couldn't do your job. Like, this is the definition of not doing your job. Like, you knew it was going to happen, and you're being lackadaisical. You're not keeping up with what you should. So many people want this. Like, it's crazy to me that this is even an issue. I know this is always an issue, which it always makes me mad. Every time anything like this is an issue, where it's like, oh, we have a big product that people are excited about. We didn't make enough. And it's like, you don't need this hype. You literally do not need this hype.
Yeah, I mean, like we said in a previous episode, I think they definitely could have been more transparent to try to reel in expectations. I hate that, and it's specifically Walmart is saying such and such a date at such and such a time, we're going to release this many consoles.
Right.
And that just sets these bots and scalpers up. And there's an article on, and I sent it to you, it was on pushsquare.com that detailed the scalper situation. And this UK scalper group saying that they have 3,500 PS5s is just wild to me, and they're charging like anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500. I'm not that desperate. The other thing is I've seen a lot of technical errors with both of these machines as they've come out. Some of them might be isolated incidents, but now I'm starting to. When I got my PS4, I essentially played NBA 2K and Final Fantasy 14 on it for almost 2 years. Those were the only 2 games. I was still playing my PS3 a lot. So I'm really rethinking the need to have this system right away. I'm going to try tomorrow night as we record to get one from Walmart, although I know I'm likely going to be beaten by the scalpers and the bots. I'm going to try, and if I don't get one, I'm kind of just at this point willing to wait. Because there's only really 2 games right now that I want to play on the PS5, and one of them comes with the system. It's just in the box, which is the Astros Playroom. Right. The other one being Miles Morales. And the thing about Miles Morales is, A, if I really want to play it, it's on PS4 with a free upgrade to the PS5 version later. Or B, by the time I get it, it'll be likely price reduced. And 3, I've heard that it's only about 12 hours.
Yeah.
12 to 15 hours to platinum.
That's
to platinum trophy.
Not great.
So I'd be put in a position where just to get value from this thing, I'd have to buy a game that I really don't necessarily want. The other aspect is that a lot of the backwards compatible games are optimized for the new systems, and I have put off playing through Final Fantasy VII Remake, my second playthrough to get the trophies, and The Last of Us to get my second playthrough to get the trophies for the PS5 because I want to play the optimized versions of them. But I kind of am like, well, maybe if I wait till March, all these things are ironed out. I don't know, how everything goes or whatever, but it's been crazy. And, the problem I have with 3,500 units for this scalper organization or whatever is that's 3,500 kids that aren't going to have this under their Christmas tree that were really hoping for it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. that sort of thing. You're taking it away from people like me and you, sure, but that the real problem I have with the scalpers is that, there's some parent out there who has a 12-year-old son or daughter that wants a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, and they're not going to be able to because they're not going to plop down $1,500 for one of these things when out of the box they cost $300, $400, $500.
Yeah, that's a big issue. I mean, and that's the thing too, where it's like people literally save their money and they like this is it. Like, especially a year like this year with the way things are going on. I mean, these scalpers, I like to think that they'll get it in the end. I mean, that's what I hope.
Well,
that's what I hope.
Like you said, I hope nobody buys it.
They're just
I hope nobody buys it. I hope
it
just sits.
Yeah.
I hope it just sits and they have to eventually just sell them for. Like listen, I've been in situations where I get 4 tickets to a baseball game and I only have 2 people going and I sell the other 2. Sure, you want to make money on stuff like that, but I just $3,500. Maybe if it's like 1 or 2, it's just something I wouldn't do.
Right.
If I was camping out at a Walmart back in the old days, I remember PS2 was this way. If I'm camping out, I'm not buying 2 and selling 1 for $700. I'm just not.
Right.
So I just think that it's not cool, and it is what it is, I guess. But hopefully these things, they'll get a handle on it, and they'll get a handle on production and shipping and everything, so that people that want these things can get them. Number 5, Wonder Woman 84 will have a theater HBO Max hybrid release on Christmas Day. Wonder Woman will release in theaters on December 25th, but will also come to HBO Max for a month before releasing to a wider home video audience. Director Patty Jenkins confirmed the news on Twitter, stating, quote, "At some point, you have to choose to share any love and joy you have to give over everything else. We love our movie as we love our fans, so we truly hope that our film brings a little bit of joy and reprieve to all of you this holiday season," end quote. Unlike Disney's Mulan, which released as a premiere title with an additional fee, Wonder Woman 1984 will not have an extra fee on HBO Max.
I think this is actually like a good thing because they're getting it. Like, things are not just it's not gonna. I know that there's the talk of the vaccine and stuff, like things are just not gonna be a snap of your fingers though. This is gonna be a slow transition to whatever new normal is, having this movie come out. And like we're gonna watch, because of the recommendation from you, we're gonna watch Wonder Woman during I think during this weekend, just because I want to catch up on a lot of things, and I'm excited to watch that original one and then watch this one on Christmas Day, probably after basketball, or there's always like one boring game, so I could probably just fit that in during the boring game. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good move. I think sometimes it's the any publicity is good publicity angle. You want to get your movie out there. HBO Max still costs something. It's not like it's free.
Right.
So you're still making money in some way, and people are, eventually going to see it in the theaters, and, I would think at some point. But I don't think it's a bad thing to put it out there. I don't, you want people to see this, and I like her statement. Like, when you love something like this, you want to make sure that, you can share it. Because what's the point in holding on to it? And I think it's a good move. It's not a move I was expecting when I saw this news come across. I was like, whoa, this is wild, but I'm down with it.
Well, I expected there to be a price tag with it.
Right, that's what I meant. Yeah, for it to, there is, because you're paying for your HBO Max subscription.
Yeah, sure. But is there a free trial? Is there a free HBO Max trial? Do you get a 7-day trial?
You probably do. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, I would assume you would. Most of the services
have
give you at 7. I saw The Croods 2, which was, my kids watched The Croods like a month or 2 ago, and when they saw a trailer for the second one on YouTube, and they wanted to watch the first one, and I read, because there was a review for it, AMC and maybe it's Universal, but one of the studios is doing a thing where they're basically doing like, it's a theater to VOD option plan, which is they're going to put movie X in the theater for like 21 days or something like that. And then they have the option to either continue to have it in the theater or move it to VOD. I think that's kind of smart because that you get a sense of, are people going to come to see this? Listen, I can tell you nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to see The Croods in the theater. I can tell you that in 21 days, that's going to be on VOD. And that's fine, but it makes you wonder if Tenet, we talked about Tenet, would it have done better if it was on a similar plan where they're seeing like, we're paying to have this in theaters. Are we really reaping the benefits of it? let's get it out. And now it's not going to be out until, December 15th or whatever. I think that's a good move. I think that this is probably a good move as well because it gives the people who really want to see it in the theater the option to see it in the theater. Yeah. If all this hadn't been going on, I would have liked to have seen this movie in the theater. But it is, and I'm not going to run that risk, so I'm perfectly fine to maybe try the free if they do the 7-day trial, or just wait the extra month and just buy it that way.
Or, hopefully, if the execs at HBO are watching want to give us an ad, that's fine, but I just give you my password and you can watch it that way. I don't really care. But, if the HBO execs are listening, I wouldn't do that. Support us, and then Brenton will get a free subscription anyhow, and we'll do an ad for HBO.
I don't know what just happened. I absolve myself of all wrongdoings. Number 6, following the death of longtime host Alex Trebek, Jeopardy released a statement confirming it will continue its production, and the first interim host will be Ken Jennings, who is arguably the show's most famous winner, having compiled 74 straight victories. No long-term host has been named at this time, and the short-term plan will be to continue to have guest hosts until such time as a permanent host is selected. You called this.
Yeah. I saw this around. I thought this initially whenever, the news came down about Alex Trebek. That was, I think it'd be weird if people thought it's kind of like a different direction. The only other direction I ever would have saw this go was Dan Patrick, because he does Sports Jeopardy. And and that's about my only other thing. And, he's a respected guy. People know who he is.
Sure. Yeah.
I think you could look at that, but I think Ken Jennings is a great move. I think it will actually end up being the real move. I think it'd be fine to have other guest hosts here and there along the way.
They'll probably do like Brad Rutter. He's another big winner, and then the other guy when they did the all-time greats.
Yeah, and
whatever.
And
the Master. I can't remember what it was called.
It's they're doing that like another show. It's just gonna be weird. I think that's gonna be the thing. Yeah. It's gonna be the hardest thing. You're talking about James Holzhauer, by the way. I just want to make sure I got that in there.
Yeah.
They're doing a show with those 3 guys again, but I think the easiest way is to transition with someone like Ken Jennings and, like you said, Brad. And I think even James Holzhauer would be a funny host just because he's such a weird guy. I think people that truly love Jeopardy, I think you want to kind of do it that way. I think you want to softly guide people away. I don't think as much as I think Dan Patrick would, I don't think you necessarily throw Dan Patrick in after Ken Jennings or
off the jump.
I think you want to give people relatable faces, and even if it's someone that just people know it with the show, associated with the show. I think that's a good move to make. I don't know what direction you go after that. I think, like I said, I think Ken Jennings would be the perfect host for the next run of this, but I understand that they want to do guest hosts.
Yeah, I just hope they don't go with somebody like Ben Stein or somebody that fits that.
I don't think so. I ultimately would actually bet on this if you could. I think it will be Ken Jennings. I really do, because he's a likable guy.
Right.
For as smart as he is, he's just funny enough, like Trebek. And the one thing that and Trebek, it was a smart guy, knew the answers and actually studied and was really into the show. Like, the thing we know about Ken Jennings is he actually knows these answers. Him giving the smart, the snarky comment thing is going to be so good with him in a different way. Like Trebek, it was more of like, oh, I'm the host of the show. He's going to be like, yeah, you didn't know this? Like, I know this. Yeah, right. Why are you, So I think that could have a different, nothing will ever be the same with that show for obvious reasons, because there's a reason why Alex Trebek is, the most, like we said, the most likable host of anything ever.
Right.
And you knew you were going to have to replace him at some point. And I think Ken Jennings is the move. I think going with relatable people for a while, but I think ultimately it's Ken Jennings, and I think that's the perfect way to move.
I think if there's anybody outside of Alex Trebek that's synonymous with Jeopardy, it's Ken Jennings.
Yep.
So I think, long term, but you heard it here first, this could be a hashtag Greg was right moment. Okay, clip of the week.
Let's do it.
You have the...
I have not looked at it. I saw the title of it. It's like, still I'm just amazed.
It's going to be the top one.
Okay, it's the Tom Hiddleston?
Yeah, before you play this, don't play it yet. So usually what I do when I look for clip of the week is I want to have something that sounds funny so that the listener who's driving in his car or listening to us on the elliptical or whatever can kind of laugh along with us because it's funny. This is one of the creepiest commercials I've ever seen. There's not a lot of dialogue.
I'm excited.
So I'm gonna pull it up. Basically, the commercial it's for Centrum, the multivitamin. Okay, and it's filmed from the viewer's point of view, and you are, I assume, based on the hands that you see, a woman. And that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to shut up until the commercial's over. And then I just want I want your guttural, visceral reaction to this thing. Okay. The other thing is that this is a Chinese commercial.
Of course,
it's in English. Yeah. It's in English, except for when he talks about the vitamin. That's for whatever reason in Chinese. But
I'm excited.
So this isn't stateside, to my knowledge. I've never seen it. So this is if you
I watch a lot of baseball, so I would assume I'd see a Centrum commercial.
Right. So I obviously, as always, I'll put the link in the show notes. But if you're intrigued and you don't want to do that and you just want to stop and it's Tom Hiddleston Chinese Centrum commercial. Okay, so that's what you're going to see. Now I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to show.
Here we go. Well, I'm getting the little ad.
Well, that's an ad. Yeah. This isn't it.
Don't pay attention to this ad. I'm going to talk over it because we are not getting paid by this company. You will not own us until you do. You can pay us though if you want.
Is this sales? Okay.
People eat Kentucky Fried Chicken here?
They do.
Yeah. Really?
Welcome to the United Kingdom, where we also...
Whoa, no, this is the wrong one. It jumped to another one. I'm sorry. We'll have to... It literally jumped to a next...
Did you put it in?
I did. I put it in just so you said, but it jumped to the wrong one. That's okay. China Centrum. It said that. It actually still says that at the bottom, but it's giving me the wrong content. Here we go.
No, that's weird.
Here we go. It's right off the bat.
You got it?
Yeah, this is weird.
Morning.
So he's just making breakfast. Ooh, that's a...
I finished early, so...
That egg looks like a...
Pop back.
It's a heart. The egg's a heart. He's grinding some pepper on there. That's a massive... Wait.
Pepper on top, right? Oh, 还有你的下餐. You look great. Probably be a bit busy for the next few weeks. But, I'll make it up to you soon, I promise.
Well, the ending of that is incredible. It just threw me all off. The thing I want to say is that that person's very short. That's playing the... Like, she's reaching... You can tell she's reaching very high up to adjust his shirt and collar. That seems... I don't know what's going on there. I'm not sure what the relationship's weird. How he just says Centrum in Chinese.
Right, Mandarin.
I'm not sure which region.
Sure,
Mandarin.
yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
But that breakfast is huge for one person. That seems like an aggressive amount of breakfast. We just move on from him. It's just an aggressive breakfast for one very small person. It seems like a very small person that's eating that massive breakfast. And then he's just like, I'm going to be gone for a couple weeks. And here's your Centrum.
But I'll make it up to you.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
What? I mean, I understand. Like, I don't know. Because I've done this, and I'm sure you have too. Have you ever just watched, like, celebrity, like, commercials from other... They're all weird. They're all weird.
I'm going to tell you that this one came down to the one that you just watched, Tom Hiddleston, again, if you're listening. Tom Hiddleston, Chinese Centrum, and Britney Spears doing a candy commercial in an airplane for some other country, and it was just as wild. It was like a fever dream. This one, it was so creepy.
It's very creepy.
It's so creepy to me.
It starts out like the hands, and also he has like wrestler hair, which is just like his hair's like wet and like it's super like I have like basically the same length of hair, Yeah, it's like he's already greased up, ready to go, and it's like, what's his, like, is he Tom Hiddleston?
Right. Yeah. Was this
Is
a one night
not?
stand?
Is this, yeah, exactly.
Is
I'm
this
going
a
to make it up to
relationship?
you with another big breakfast, too big of a breakfast. And that's not a breakfast that holds up. Like, that was a lot of veggies. You have to eat that right then and there.
Here was the thing. Did you see how intricate those cuts were?
Very intricate.
He was in there for a while. This wasn't
Well, he
just
does have that.
hey,
No.
I finished up early. What did
That's
he
probably
finish?
pretty sure. Yeah. Well, he probably got up early. Well, I don't know. We don't know what time it is. And also the fact that he's all suited
Did
up.
he go
making
for
that
a run?
breakfast.
Is he just out of the shower?
Yeah, he's I'm guessing, well, he's got to be just out of the shower, but those
But
cuts
he's got
are so
like a
intricate.
suit. He's got
Right,
a
he's
suit.
wearing a suit and there's no splatter. He just fried a perfect egg.
It's a
and there's no little grease.
creepy experience. Tom Hiddleston, Centrum, Chinese commercial.
Just watch it.
Check
please.
it out.
Comment on that.
It's only like 30 seconds long. So
Yeah, it moves. And thankfully, it moves.
All right.
'Cause I'm gonna have a nightmare from that.
quick hitter time. I'm gonna hop around on the order of
All right.
these just a hair. And the first one I'm gonna go with is I'm actually gonna double back to that interview from The Verge with Phil Spencer from Xbox. He said on The Verge's Decoder podcast that he believes that Xbox will be an app for streaming games from your smart TV within the next 12 months. But he also stated that he does not foresee streaming as the end of consoles, stating, "I don't think that these will be the last big pieces of hardware we ship." So again, if you want to check all of this out with Phil Spencer, the guy in charge of Xbox, that's the Verge Decoder podcast, and that's a free plug for them. But what do you think about this being a Xbox potentially being an app on your smart TV?
I think it's cool if it works right.
Right, and we've talked about this with Stadia
yeah.
and the Amazon thing.
Yeah, you got to make it work right. Well, otherwise, it's just going to be something else taking up space. And I that's always my concern with anything. Like we said, like you have to make it. For him to say within the next 12. I hope they're working on it. I hope this isn't like maybe it'll be a thing.
Here's my question: is if I'm going to have streaming Xbox on my TV and it's going to, as you said, it's going to work correctly and the latency on the streaming is not going to be bad, then why the hell am I buying an Xbox?
Right, exactly.
That's the other thing. So
yeah, I don't know.
Black Friday will be the day that this publishes. We've both worked retail. Do you have any wild Black Friday stories?
Well, I will say that in my retail life, we don't have a Black Friday sale. We're just normal business. We get a lot of phone calls and a lot of people coming in like, "What's your sale today?" And we're like, "We don't have a sale. We're an independent bookstore. Like, we can't. We have our sales twice a year." I will say my favorite Black Friday store. I've never been a Black Friday shopper. Mm-hmm. I'm more of a Cyber Monday,
Sure.
or even a further ahead. I used to go down to Ross Park Mall on Fridays and just watch it.
Yeah, sure. Just the insane.
And I would just go and get like a sandwich, and I would just watch. And the funniest thing I ever saw was like this old couple, and both of them were just older than they should have been. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe. And the husband comes out, and he has a bag, and he shows the wife what he got, and she lit into him so hard. I mean, I can't actually say what she said, but she ripped into him. And he just dropped the bag and walked to the food court, and it was just incredible. I've never seen. I honestly felt was there just a bunch of dead rats in the bag? I mean, how bad was it that she showed what was in the bag? They both look. I mean, they're both just kind of they weren't in walkers or anything, but they were just. It was very slow. The way she lit into them was it was like freaking Meryl Streep kind of level. It was incredible, and I'm just sitting there because that's just what I did. Sometimes I would take the Friday off from the newspaper, just to kind of give myself a little break because there wasn't football or anything. I love that, and I used to just sit and watch it. That was one of my favorite. It's a weird because I like people watching anyhow. When you go to a restaurant or anything. One of my favorite moments, just ever, not just Black Friday, but the way she lit into him and the way he just dropped the bag and walked away. I
wish that's a good one. let's see. We did Black Friday. We went to Black Friday at a Walmart and it was the Gray Thursday thing where it's like, oh, our sales start at 7:00 on Thursday on Thanksgiving night. And we came home with a bag of dog food and a gallon of milk. And that was it. So that was...
Did you get a deal on that?
No. The other one, this didn't happen to me, but... So I worked at the Grove City Outlet Mall. It's one of the most popular outlet malls in the entire country. And it's right down the road. I worked at 5 different stores.
Wow.
Throughout my time there. 2 in the food court and then 3 retail stores. I did the midnight shift on one Black Friday at a bookstore.
Oh my god!
And it gets like there's like a surge and a rush right at whenever you start, whether it's 11, 12, whatever, and that usually lasts like an hour or 2, and then by like 2 or 3, it really starts to slow down until the regular shopping hours, like maybe a little bit early, like 6, 7, whatever. But man, we had a lot of people there, and then like I think it was like 3:00. One of the kids that I worked with just literally was just like screw it, and went and laid down in one of the big book tables. Like how you have like the clearance books usually, and they're just like these giant tables. He just cleared out like a nest and just laid it and curled up in like a little ball.
That's a move. Oh wow, what a move right there.
But the worst thing that I ever heard of on Black Friday was I was friends with the guy who was the manager at the CD/media store at the Outlet Mall. It was Music for a Song, if you remember that.
Yeah.
And it started out as mostly CDs, and then it just very slowly, as all these places do, it just very slowly became Hot Topic, and it smelled like chalk and fog machines and regrets.
Naturally.
But they made a tower, like a pyramid of these Sony portable DVD players. Do you remember those? Like, they almost look like a laptop, and you'd open it up and it has a screen on it and everything, right? They made like a tower about as tall as me, and I'm 6'2". Okay, so that's how big this pyramid is. He told me that by 7:00 in the morning, so they open at midnight, 7:00 in the morning, 7 hours. He said that entire pyramid was gone, and they only sold 3 of those things.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So the tower, I said, Dan, how many DVD players do you think was in that tower? And he was like, oh God, man, I don't know, like 70. I said, you got ripped off for like 50 DVD players? He's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to get fired for this one, man. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Oh my god. That's
you don't even need a
awesome.
Scalper bot for that. You just walk in and
No,
take
you
one.
walk in and just take it.
Yeah, Black
Oh
Friday.
my god.
Black Friday at that mall is crazy. They're probably like. Here's the thing: is it's Tuesday night before Thanksgiving. There's a pandemic. There's probably a line outside of Coach right now.
Oh, there definitely is.
That's how crazy that is.
Went grocery shopping today and it was a madhouse everywhere.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recommend that.
We went over the weekend because we wanted to get all the stuff for our Thanksgiving dinner that we're going to do, and we went to one of the bigger super Walmarts that's near us, and they had nothing. They had nothing. And
Sure.
It was like, is this Thanksgiving? Is it the pandemic? Is it both? I said, I don't know. We've got the shittiest Walmart in the world. And in Grove City, I'll be able to find everything we need there. So I was able to get it the next day. Man, I'm going to have 2 bleeps. I'm going to have 2 bleeps this episode.
I would have never taken you for the one that would, put the bleeps on.
Just wait till we get to the
no
Star
bleeps.
Wars. Just wait till we get to Star Wars.
That'll be nothing but bleeps. We should do lightsaber sounds.
There you go. Harry Styles graces the cover of the December Vogue.
It's beautiful. It is. We got so many requests for it at the bookstore.
Isn't he in a dress? He's in a dress.
He's in a dress in some of it. He's just a beautiful person, and I'm glad that somehow we are allowed to walk in the same land that he does. I'm here for it. I didn't put a request in because I didn't want to take away the cover from Screaming Teenage Girls, but when I come in Friday, I'm hoping that I can get myself a copy. I read the article online. He's just great. I mean, he's very like in the moment of zen all the time. He seems very at peace with himself, which is very cool. Harry Styles is just a very different musician than everyone else. He's literally not trying to please anyone. By everything I read, he's a very cool guy. Seems like a cool hang. If we're ever allowed to hang out with people again and Harry Styles wants to just come over and I'll make him pizza.
There you go.
We can just talk music. That would be great. Or talk whatever he wants to talk about. If he wants to just go take a dip in a very cold pond, because that's something he likes to do, I'll do that.
That's
Whatever.
a strange hobby to have.
Yeah, it's what he does, and I love me some Harry Styles. I'm excited. I'm very. What's weird is that I wasn't sure because I love both of those albums, and I didn't listen to One Direction. I did not. I don't actually know. I think I maybe know a song from them. I just fell in love with that first album because John Mayer said you should listen to this, and I was like, I will, because John Mayer told me to. It became my favorite album of that time period, and then his new album became a great. I just was pumped for that, and I was like, I don't know, are other people excited about this? And then just phone calls or people walking in, so it just made me happy that a lot of people are on board with Harry Styles, and he just seems like a cool guy, and this is one good thing about 2020 is we got this Harry Styles love affair that I'm all for.
The Rockefeller Christmas tree. Cue the sad Charlie Brown music.
Did you see the owl?
I didn't see the owl. What's up with the owl?
The owl
I saw that
owl
article.
that somehow
you
just
sent me.
survived this 2-hour transport. It's a little
course it did.
weagle.
Of
Yeah,
course
it's a
it
little small little guy.
Yeah.
And they found him, and he's gonna be able to eat whatever he wants to eat until they get him back ready to rock and roll.
Did you see
this
it
Christmas
before?
tree is hilarious.
Did you see it before they cut it down and transported it?
Yeah.
It looked like the tree from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
A little full, a lot of sap.
Yeah.
But then they moved it 2 hours or whatever, and it just looked like it was just for shame. For shame. It should be paraded through the streets of King's Landing and have rocks thrown at it and people going, shame. Shame. Just Google this.
The New York Times article on it is incredible. I recommend anyone just type in the Rockefeller Christmas tree New York Times. It's great reporting, but also they're just so humorous about it because they're just like, this is where we're at now, where we have to report on this crappy tree, and we're gonna go all in. And I can't recommend it enough. It's so. There's a whole part where the guy that is part of where they got the tree from. He's like, well, wait till we get lights. Wait till they put lights and everything on it. You'll come back to me then.
Lights on.
Come back to me
branches.
then. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my god, he's so defensive about this tree. It cracks me up. It's so good. A lot of people have already said this. It's the 2020 of trees.
Right. Yeah.
Sure. Whatever about that. I don't even care. It's almost like, I'm glad it happened, actually.
Yeah.
Because normally
sure.
it's not, in a way, it's just it's a little humor break that I think a lot of us need, because who actually cares?
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to New York right now to go look at a tree. You
Right.
can't do it. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I need a little bit of humor in my life.
Well,
Here's this
it.
crappy tree that is going to look probably worse with
I didn't
lights
even
on it.
think about this until right now. How sad is New Year's Eve going to be?
I mean,
Well,
my New Year's Eves are generally spent very alone or traveling. I've actually traveled many, which is weird.
The odds that I'm even
hate
awake.
crowds.
But I just mean in the sense of...
Right. You just mean in that sense. It's going to be super sad.
Yeah.
But people are going to have cleaner underwear. So that's
Sure.
good.
HBO has ordered the Last of Us series. Naughty Dog Vice President Neil Druckmann will be set to executive produce and write the scripts for the series for the season 1 of The Last of Us on HBO.
I'm just excited because I know you love this game. And I'm going to play it. I actually plan on playing it here soon. Yeah, HBO usually makes good content, so I trust them doing this.
If they cast this right, it's going to be incredible. My only fear, though, is that if Neil Druckmann is writing an executive producer on the Last of Us HBO series, I fear that's going to take him away from making games. And as much as I think that video game adaptations are built for TV. We've talked a little bit about the Uncharted movie. The Uncharted games are all 20 hours long. How are you going to boil that down into 2 hours?
Right.
You know what I mean? The Last of Us, if you play it through, if you don't play like I play, which I play checking every corner, every crevice, everything for collectibles and so on and so forth. If you just play the original PS3 or the remaster of The Last of Us, it's like 13 hours. Okay, well, you trim a little fat here and there, and now all of a sudden you've got 10 coherent episodes. You know what I mean? So I think TV is a better suited for video game adaptations than movies. And HBO fits the motif of The Last of Us because it's very dark, it's very violent. So I think that, like, here's the thing is, imagine what the violence, the gore to a certain extent of everything that AMC does with The Last of Us. Or I'm sorry, with The Walking Dead. Now multiply that by 10. And that's what The Last of Us will be if done correctly on HBO. But if Neil's writing this and doing all this with this TV show, then he either needs to say, I'm stepping away from games, or somebody else is going to be in charge of making games. Because, you know, they're set to release probably the multiplayer suite that's going to go with The Last of Us Part 2. But after that, we don't know what comes next for Naughty Dog. And Naughty Dog is the crown jewel of the Sony first-party family. So it's important that they're doing something. So I just hope that this doesn't take him away too much from that.
I mean, how long does it take to write a show? A couple hours?
I don't know. I've never written a show.
No, I mean, yeah, it probably takes.
I mean, they already have the source
It
material.
probably takes a day.
They already have the source material, so they're just adapting. But
it might also be something he was planning, and he might have just already. You never know, too.
Yeah,
Sometimes
maybe.
people do things where like they have a set ready to go.
I just think that it's interesting too that and we mentioned this on one of the episodes that he's writing and the executive producer on this series, but when Sony made the Uncharted movie, he was like, "Yeah, we don't have anything to do with this."
Right. That's
So,
hilarious.
I mean, he was very nice with Tom Holland and, you know, tweeted out congratulations and all this stuff, but he was very clear that they didn't have anything to do with it. Batman Earth 1 Volume 3 graphic novel will be released June 2021. Jeff Johns, the writer, and the artist Gary Franks' long-awaited third volume into the alternate universe Batman saga in which the Cape Crusader is still a rookie crime fighter. These are excellent.
Yeah, they really are great.
Volume 1 right here. It's very good, and it is like a different story and a different take on Batman, and I highly suggest anybody who has not read the Earth 1, and they do Earth 1 for a couple other DC things as well, but the Batman is the I think I have a Superman one, but they're very good. I definitely recommend anybody would check those out. And then this one is not noteworthy for really any reason other than where it was filmed. But Kristen Stewart stars in Happiest Season, which will debut tomorrow on Hulu. Tomorrow being November 25th, so it'll be live by the time that this posts. But it also stars Dan Levy of Schitt's Creek. This isn't newsworthy like at all. It's a crappy, probably Hallmark Lifetime Hulu movie. But it was filmed on Broad Street in Grove City, where I live. And then also at the gas station on the Butler exit on 279 South, headed towards Pittsburgh. So I know my wife plans on watching it. I told her that when they get to scenes that are on Broad Street to call me in so I can just spot landmarks and say, oh, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, it was filmed like a stone's throw away from where I live, which that's probably not a big deal for you because you're Mr. California Hollywood guy. But here out in the sticks, it's pretty cool thing to have.
No, it's so cool. You know, when you find out somebody filmed something here in Santa Barbara, we're still excited because, you know, a lot of this is just filmed on lots now.
Right.
You know.
On green backgrounds.
Right. You know, so to hear, you know, even living out here, I mean, I'm excited that they filmed something in Grove City. That's cool. That makes me excited. I'll probably watch this because of that. I love Christmas movies anyhow. I love when they're sappy. I'm looking forward to the Princess switched again. With,
This is a Christmas. It is a Christmas
Sweet,
movie,
yeah.
So. Okay, media recommendations for you, sir?
Sure, finish The Queen's Gambit. It's awesome. Please watch it, everyone. It's incredible. It should be up for all the awards when those come out. She's great. The whole show is just super good. it's very clean since it's 7 episodes. There's no fat to be trimmed. It's just a very great episode, and it's marbled well, I should say. But
she doesn't make like a trip to a neighboring town with the frog's eggs.
It's very quick when she does that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and the little baby she has on board only eats a couple eggs.
Okay.
I finished My Brilliant Friend by Lan Ferrante. I'm starting A Story of a New Name, which I like. My Brilliant Friend, I obviously read like a lot because I have to. It is part of my job. I was sitting in my car reading this during my break, and when it ended, I made an audible "ooh." And I don't do that with a lot of books, even books I love, but the way she set it up to get you ready for the next novel made me so pumped. And this show's on HBO, and I want to watch it now, based off the first novel. From all I've heard when people tell me, and all these people that tell me are middle-aged white women. So it's really funny that that's where I relate. I'm either relating to teenage Italian girls or middle-aged white women. This is where I'm at in my life with that. But I'm very excited about that. Great British Bake Off finale is Friday, today when this comes out. I'm sad. It's one of these things where if whoever wins, I'll be happy for it. That's one of the things about Great British Bake Off that makes it so good is you usually are not upset with whomever wins. And it's been a really fun season, and it's just a nice thing to come home. We always watch that and Mandalorian on Friday, 2 completely different things, and also like I said earlier, starting to
I mean, there's cookies.
Yeah, I guess
There's
that's
eggs.
true. There's cookies and eggs. Yeah, and
soft
there's
one.
a little alien baby that runs around on Great British Bake Off. That's
Sure.
just one of the hosts.
Right.
If you watch the show, you might get that joke. And also starting the Star Wars, and also this means holiday movies. Princess Switch switched again. Vanessa Hudgens, if you haven't watched the Princess Switch, and you just want to watch, tell Melissa if she hasn't. Princess Switch is great. I love Vanessa Hudgens in these movies. She's perfect for these movies because she's just good enough, but she's not too good of an actress. So it's right in her wheelhouse.
She watched Operation Christmas Drop the other day. And
yeah.
that was a thing that happened in this household.
Sure. We'll watch all of them, Die Hard included.
Yeah.
As Chris,
I'll be honest with you. I haven't watched a ton. I haven't done a ton in the last week because realistically, like most of my free time has been spent editing our increasingly longer and longer shows that we've done. So I haven't watched a whole lot. I watched Mandalorian. I watched The Phantom Menace the other night. I'm starting my Star Wars run. I watched The Phantom Menace the other night. I got into Attack of the Clones. I might watch, I don't know, like 20 minutes or something of it here in a little bit just as I wind down. Nothing. I finished Far Cry. I had 3, as I talked about, I think last week, or I was close to it. But I finished that up. I'm not ready to move on to Far Cry 4. So I'm just kind of in this in-between. Nothing's really scratching that itch. So I've been playing Super Mario World on Super Nintendo, trying to trying to do the speed run. Before we recorded, I got to Bowser's Castle in 10 minutes and 45 seconds. And then I just forgot how to play Mario and died instantly. I mean, Bowser's Castle isn't hard. I just stopped being able to play Super Mario World. And then I started another run, and I went through the first 5 levels as perfectly as probably I possibly could. I made it through the first 5 levels, and I want to say 4.5 minutes. And then again, just stopped knowing how to play Mario. My brain just shut off. So I got frustrated, and that's when I kind of came down and started getting set up for the podcast. But I'll probably keep working on that. I'm getting really good at the first world is the first 4 levels. I can bang that out in about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So I'm just trying to get my time down.
Could you send me just that? I don't care if you send me the whole game, but I would just love to see this done.
The first world?
Yeah, first world. I just want to see that done because that seems fun. And you doing it. Like I've watched people online, but I don't trust that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know what's going. If that's believable or
like the hard part
whatever.
is I would stream. I'd stream me playing Super Nintendo all day versus streaming Fall Guys or whatever. I'd love to stream Link to the Past. The issue is that I'm playing on an actual Super Nintendo. I'm not playing a ROM. I'm not playing on like an SNES Classic. I'm not playing on any of that stuff. I'm playing on an actual screw into the back of your TV in the cable thing, Super Nintendo. So I don't have a great method of capturing gameplay. So I'm not sure what the best way to do that other than probably just my cell phone is. But I could send you that. I can do that even tomorrow. Yeah, like I said, I can get through. It's just I just screw up once, and it vexes me. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So that's pretty much it. We're like I said, we're gonna have December 1st will be part 2 of the top 10 TV shows, 5 through 1 on each of those. A lot of context for each shows. Very different lists. I would say I was concerned when we did that episode we were going to have a lot of crossover, but I think we only had two. We only had two shows.
Two shows.
Yep. So that was good. You made me get up and go walk a lap around the house at one point, so that was fun. But it's a fun episode, and I just want to wish everybody. Well, this will be after Thanksgiving, but I hope everybody would have had a happy and healthy Thanksgiving, and be safe out there if you're going to brave the world on Black Friday, and be cautious, and maybe just wait till Cyber Monday.
Yeah, just do all your shopping online. I mean, come in and support the bookstore so I have a job, but do it in a politeful manner.
Right.
And don't scream at me about stuff.
And I'm telling you, please. I'm looking, and I know you can't see me, but we do this via Zoom, and I'm looking dead set into my camera. I want you blokes, you Englishmen, you Brits, to write in. Fish, chips, cup of tea, Mary Poppins, all that stuff. Tell us how you like the show. Tell us how the hell you found the show. That's what I want to know. I want to know all this. We appreciate every last listener. Share, review, share. We're having a great time doing this. We want to spread this to the masses all over the world. Yeah, that's it.
Tell your mothers.
Tell your moms.
Tell your mothers. Yeah, I'm very interested. Like, I'm serious. If we get enough content from UK, I would love to just do a UK only episode where it's just their mailbag. I don't know if they call it mail over there. What do they call it over there?
I think.
Let us know. Let us know.
Yeah,
let us know what you call mail over there.
We've probably they're not going to download it anymore. They've been thoroughly insulted.
Ew, they're tough. They're a tough breed.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks for downloading.
Take care, guys.
Thanks for listening.
The BXG podcast is recorded in sunny Santa Barbara, California, and not so sunny Grove City, Pennsylvania. Follow Greg on Instagram at GTFills and on Twitter at GTFilson. Follow Brenton on Instagram and Twitter at WHY2BEEY2B. Follow the BXG podcast on Instagram and Twitter at BXG Podcast. For news and updates, check our Facebook page, facebook.com/BXG Podcast. For questions or comments directed to the show, comment on the Facebook page or email at bxgpodcast@gmail.com. Did you see that Trump did the pardon of the turkeys today?
Yes.
Easily the most badass thing that he could have said is, no, deep fry them, and just walked off.